of it.
Oh, gosh. Give me your microphone. Just give me your microphone. They will just say they will not go to the Olympics.
Okay.
Really, just like
Yeah.
that.
Since nobody wants them around at this point in time,
This one, they even say it's like whether you are competing under the neutral flag or not,
yes.
you are not coming.
Okay.
So they're still having conversations to that, because you understand what's happening is the Ukrainian athletes are saying we are not going to play, and then a few other countries have joined them. So there's still negotiations going on. It's not confirmed yet, but it's likely. So there's that on the Olympic side. Then Mikel Arteta was now saying that, in his Arsenal side, there's no number one player, no number one anybody. If that's everybody, every position is up for grabs. This was his excuse for Arsenal
2-1.
buying no for
Oh,
Arsenal buying Raya from Brentford. So they already have a good goalkeeper. They now want to get another good number one goalkeeper. And he said there's nobody that has a position there. And I'm just looking at him that how do you think that's a great thing? Every team should have a starting 11. How do you imagine that not having consistency is a great thing? But we wait to see how this fight pans out, because sometimes these fights can be very good for the team, because if another goalkeeper knows that there's somebody waiting in the sales to just snap up his job, he may make himself um very, I mean, inexpendable. Then it's the other goalkeeper that tends to suffer. On the other hand, it may cause some division in the locker room. But let's wait to see how Mikel Arteta handles this. But first of all, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about women's football. We're going to talk about a lot of other things when we get into the story. So before that, Omar, how can we be a part of the locker room?
to be part of the locker room this morning, you have to send us on those lovely WhatsApp messages, especially your bands as the weekend is upon us. So send it over to 0809 444 0981. Once again, 0894440981. That's before we go in there. You can also catch us live on YouTube. We are Smooth 981. Search for us and then just leave your comments there. We're sure to take them also. I need to also let you know there's somebody who keeps struggling every time you come on for the locker room and says every time she laughs at work she has her ears plugged already, and her colleagues looks at her like, what's happening to this? They say you are the reason why she's doing that. I just need you to know that.
Laugh on, please.
So heading on to the lineup this morning. World Athletics Championships, Tobi Amusan cleared over missing doping tests as Djokovic dominates Mofis in Cincinnati. Alcaraz outlasts Paul. Next, we've got Vlatko Andonovsky, a U.S. coach, resigns after earliest Women's World Cup exit.
Expected.
Timing could be right for Newcastle in the big test at Man City. See why your bands should be hot and ready. As De Bruyne, Haaland, and Messi nominated for UEFA Player of the Year. Then Serena Wigman, FA says any approaches would be 100% rejected. Don't come close. Well, just pray it's not Saudi asking anyway.
I was going to say, if Saudi just puts the money on the table, doesn't that change the argument?
Saudis, they don't talk, they just put their money there and look at you.
They just put the money on the table. Serena will just be like, bye, I'm not cuckoo from England before.
And then we've got TV presenter Rachel Riley says she will stop supporting Man United if Ford stays. As Crystal Palace winger signs new 4-year deal amid Chelsea interest. That's the last story.
All right. So on that note, let's quickly rush into Tobi Amusan's the AIU's report after their investigations were carried out. All right.
Okay, that in itself says Nigerian 100-meter hurdles world record holder Tobi Amusan has had a suspension lifted after she was found not to have broken anti-doping rules over missing tests. In a statement, the AIU said, quote, a panel of the disciplinary tribunal by majority decision that was on Thursday, found that Tobi Amusan had not committed any anti-doping rule violation of 3 whereabouts failures within a 12-month period.
Okay, you need to consider this.
Oh, there we go. AIU goes on. AIU head Barrett Cloutier has indicated that AIU is disappointed by this decision and will review the reasoning in detail before deciding whether to exercise its right to appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sports (CAS).
All right. So this is AIU deciding amongst themselves now. So of course they had the panel. They took her case to the panel. I mean, they laid their claim. She defended her case, and after defending it, it was a majority decision, which means that there were still some people on that panel that said, you know what, regardless, you're suspended. And then other people said, no, but this is what she said is happening now. I do not know the entire details of the case. I'm waiting for it, like, to be released. Like Brett is also waiting for it to be released. But what it is that right now she's been cleared to compete because her suspension was lifted immediately, which means that come 28th of August, if they've not finished, if Brett, because it's Brett that wants to review in detail, if Brett has not finished reviewing in detail and taking it to CAS, then Tobi Amusan will compete for and defend her title at the World Athletics Championship. Yeah. So that's really great news on the one hand. On the other hand, this Brett is really angry because he this is the AIU releasing a statement saying their investigation have turned up well, their panel have decided that an athlete is not guilty. But the head of AIU is like, I'm not happy.
You know how
it's beginning to look like
it's like it's like a student challenging the lecturer for remarking, and then the panel. You know, it's very rare to get panel when they set up to say review remarking to say this student passed. But the student lecturer, how dare you? My qualifications are at stake right now.
This one is not lecturer, this is VC because this is the head of AIU. So he's really paid, and I'm just like, guy, calm down. What did she do to you?
Yes,
you know,
it's not personal now.
It's not
What's
personal.
this
Why?
now?
Calm down. But what it is that she's cleared, and that was the best news sometime last night. So great news for Tobi Amusan. She's going to compete. Great news for Nigeria, and great news for all those that love athletics. For Brett, keep searching, eh? When you finish reading, let us know. We help you mark your thesis. Keep reading while she's running.
As they say in the streets, they say, keep searching for what is not lost. You will find it.
No evidence, okay? No evidence. All right, let's go to the next story.
Now we head straight to the court this morning, Tega. And Djokovic dominates Monfils in Cincinnati. Alcaraz outlasts Paul. And it goes, Novak Djokovic extended his career-long domination of Gael Monfils with a 6-3, 6-2 victory on Thursday to reach the quarterfinals of the ATP WTA Cincinnati Open. Alcaraz, on his own part, had squandered 3 match points against Paul before the first of a string of rain delays that forced players off and on the court in a logistics ballet that finally ended after more than 3 hours.
Yes. Oh, that thing was so upsetting. So there was one particular time, I'm speaking on the Alcaraz match now. There's one particular one that they had just, after going out for like maybe 15 minutes, they had just come back. And I was like, okay, let me just watch this one, then I will sleep. As they're about to start, the rain started dropping. They just came back home. They did the 4 minutes warm up. Rain started to drop again. They had to now go back in. At this point, I just like, you know what? Whatever happens, what will be will be. But yeah, they eventually finished that match, and it was very important to Alcaraz because they were in Toronto. The men were in Toronto. In Toronto, Alcaraz had Tommy Paul had defeated Alcaraz in 3 sets. And it wasn't a question. It wasn't. Let me not say it wasn't a question. It wasn't simply a question of Alcaraz having so much unforced errors. First of all, he's an aggressive player that plays with a lot of variety, so you'd expect to see some of these errors in his game. But it was that Tommy Paul seemed to have a handle on what Monfils can bring. In fact, Tommy Paul is one of the players on the circuit that have consistently found Carlos Alcaraz out. And so he found him out again in Toronto. And so Carlos Alcaraz is that kind of person that if you beat me once, you can't beat me back to back. Just that's his own. His own that if you beat me once, I learn. But the next time we're meeting, I'm winning it. So sure he doesn't like that back-to-back defeat or like Gael Monfils. We're going to get into his story. And so it was a tough battle. And yes, he had 3 match points. But they were on Tommy Paul's racket. And yes, Alcaraz made a lot of errors that took away those match points, but it led them into a 3rd set. And then he broke very early in the set. Had other break points. I think, in fact, at some point, he had created 22 break points, and he had taken only 5 of them. So he was getting looks into Tommy Paul's serves. He was reading Tommy Paul's serves. He just wasn't finishing him off. So there are a lot of mistakes, but fortunately for him, he was able to come through that and defeat Tommy Paul. So no back-to-back losses there. On the other hand, for Gael Monfils, it's a struggle. I think the only person that Gael Monfils has lost to worse than Novak Djokovic is Rafa Nadal. I think Rafa Nadal has beaten him 17-0. 17 love, however you want to use
Yeah.
it. And then Djokovic had defeated him 18 times on replied. So yesterday I expected this to be same of same. The question was, how quick was it going to be? I didn't think it was going to be long. I thought it was going to be pretty quick. Because as great as Gael Monfils' comeback has been, his game is still erratic. Um, Nothing. That's his style.
That's the point. You see, like, you know, we it was you
Yeah,
can
you had this conversation,
with
but they cannot be the same. Monfils' tennis is one of the most beautiful tennis. He's one of the most talented, most skillful players on tour. I watch tennis, I can say that categorically. The thing is, when you score up against a player like Novak Djokovic, like I said, Novak Djokovic has stripped his tennis down to pure science. And so he hits lines and angles. Your natural gifting will not be enough to defeat Novak Djokovic. You two have to strip your game down to maybe add athleticism, which is what, when you see players that have defeated Novak Djokovic, they have that also down to the science. And so it was always going to be a tough one. A natural gifted player against a scientific player every day of the week and twice on Sunday. The science was going to win. And so
yeah.
the question was, how quick was it going to be? It was quick. It was 3-2.
Was it enough to prepare noodles and then boil the eggs before it
It
happened?
was a good jog, I would say, for Novak
Oh, it was a
Djokovic.
good
It was not
job.
even a marathon. It was just a good jog. So he's defeated him 19 times now.
Yeah.
That's the longest consecutive streak somebody has defeated somebody in so far. I think Djokovic's next opponent is Taylor Fritz. That battle should be a little interesting because Taylor Fritz plays well on hard court and he's playing in the US, which is home court. Doesn't mean that Novak Djokovic will not take him out, but it may make it a little more interesting than last night was. Last night was a blink.
Hmm. Okay, let's make it a blink as we quickly let the listener know they can be part of the locker room this morning by sending messages up to 0809 444 0981. 089 will be the number to get the WhatsApp messages in. But the locker room was still here, and Tega Onojiafe, the princess, will be back.
He'll be back after the break. I am so tired. I'm always tired. Ah, I had leg day on Wednesday and I still can't move my leg. Ah, Tega is tired. We've done only two stories. What's the next story? What's the next story? Oh my. What's the next one?
Hmm?
What's the next?
Vlatko.
Okay, we'll just rush over that.
No problem.
Ah, I think after this I'll just lie down and sleep.
You have 15 minutes to go. So, yep.
Okay, we're back after this. See my small dance.
Go back. We're Smooth 98.1 FM. You're back inside the locker room with Princess Tega Onojiafe here this morning. So, Tega.
Yeah, and Ibrahim Hassan and well on YouTube is asking, Tega, what is it in that corner? So let me just give you a secret. That corner is the warmest corner in this studio.
Yeah.
And you know, there's not a lot of skin on these bones. So that's my corner. But he also says, anyway, Toby is free and that guy should chill a beg and let our Toby shine. My sentiments exactly. That's on YouTube. On WhatsApp, this is from Chukudi. It says,
Chukwudi is more of Novak Djokovic has set a new record with a masterclass performance with a victory over Morpheus. Djokovic has the most lopsided head-to-head record against any player in the ATP tennis history at 19 love, if there is anything like that. A remarkable achievement against a very talented player. Mohammed comes in with this one. Hashtag locker room 981. Tega, I beg, make Ukraine rest with the council culture when UK, US, and Ukraine invaded Iraq and Afghanistan based on rumors of weapons of mass destruction on
I'm not even going to
9/11.
go there. First of all, Mohammed, I'm not reading this message.
Okay.
You know how you do these politically charged things with this
So,
misinformation. Did Ukraine invade Iraq?
so what do we do now? So you take out, it will come for you, and then you will bounce back. So let's get back to some more messages. You two can be like Mohammed and the others who send
Be like
messages.
Chukudi instead.
Oh.
And send us a message to WhatsApp.
0809-444-0981 messages, and then go also to YouTube. Hashtag smooth 981 FM. Just be like Ibrahim Hassan too.
Send us a message there. All right, let's go to the next story.
The next story waiting is Vlatko Andonovsky, US coach, resigns after earliest Women's World Cup exit. US head coach Vlatko Andonovsky has resigned after the team's worst performance at the Women's World Cup.
All right, so this was to be expected because if you, I said it ahead, so going to roll the US soccer program, like they call it. It's a very great one, especially for women's sport, and the investment they've made and the fact that they've dominated in the category for years, ranked number one team in the world for a reason, and they crashed out that early in the tournament. Prior to that, there were already questions around his leading the team, especially with the performance 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago now at the Olympics? No, 2 years ago, because the Olympics held in 2021 as opposed to 2020. And especially with the way they performed and they won bronze at that tournament, it was coming. My shock is that it took this long, but yeah, he's gone, and they're going to be looking for a good replacement. So until I was talking about, oh, I'm leaving, but I'm happy with the progress they've made. I'm like, no, oh God, I didn't make progress. They walked back under you. The team walked back. But let's see how the US Federation handles this and bounces back. But the fact that the first statement that came out of this of this resignation was from the head of US soccer. You could tell that it was not necessarily a resignation as much as it was an advice to resign.
He got the boot.
He got the boot. All right.
That takes us to Man City. Timing could be right for Newcastle in big test at Man City. The late kickoff at Etihad will be City's fourth game in 2 weeks and follows Wednesday's UEFA Super Cup penalty shootout win over Sevilla in the sapping heat and humidity of Athens.
All right, so let's start with this. So first of all, congratulations to Manchester City, winning that penalty shootout. I didn't think Sevilla was going to lose the penalty shootout, but they lost. The last guy that took the penalty kick, Gurich, kind of hit the bar. He sold the goalkeeper, but he hit the bar. And that was it. Manchester City won the Super Cup. So congratulations to Manchester City on winning that Super Cup. However, like I said on Wednesday morning, Manchester City has played one too many games. Starting from the Community Shield against Arsenal, where they were like 100 minutes. And then going into the game over the weekend against Burnley, and then they played this Super Cup. And the Premier League could have been a little nicer, and maybe made them play on Sunday or Monday, because there are teams playing on Sunday and Monday in the Premier League.
Yes.
But they retain the schedule, and Manchester City is going to play on Saturday evening against Newcastle, against a Newcastle side that is doing great things on the pitch. Now, even if Manchester City should find a way to defeat Newcastle, they'd have to be spent to play against Newcastle. So a Newcastle side that came from a 5-1 defeat against Aston Villa, a Newcastle side that is one of the top contenders for top 4 this season again. They know they missed out last season. They're in Europe this season, and they look like they're going to achieve better this season. That's the side that in Manchester City struggling with without their key players in Kevin De Bruyne, showing up to play against that side is going to be a tough one. And I like the way Pep Guardiola was being sarcastic. He was like, "Thank you, Premier League, for giving us this kind of schedule."
Yes.
I understand the anger, especially when you are losing players through injury because of wear and tear, and then you're still seeing that your schedule is tight. I think the Premier League should have been a little wiser to that, but it is what it is. Manchester City will face Newcastle on Saturday night, and the neutrals will eat good, because that will be a tough battle.
And that links up finally also still with Man City, because this next story, De Bruyne, Haaland, and Messi nominated for UEFA Player of the Year. Manchester City duo Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland are among the 3 finalists for men's UEFA Player of the Year award, alongside Lionel Messi. European football's governing body announced on Thursday.
Yes, so now this one did my head in. You know me, every day of the week and twice on Sunday, Messi is the greatest player in the world. But there is no I'm looking for the indices now that they used to, they contorted, because this one they didn't calculate it. They had to perform magic to get him in the top 3 of the UEFA award. And this was the reason they gave, and it shouldn't make any sense. They're like, oh, he won the league with PSG, and he also did well in UCL with PSG, despite the fact that they were knocked out. However, also the exploits at the FIFA World Cup was another thing they looked at. And my question is, UEFA, what is your business with the FIFA World Cup? This is a UEFA award, so tournaments organized by Europe. Yeah, by you. So UCL, UEFA Nations League, those are the things that concern you. Argentina is not even in your confederation. How is his performance for Argentina part of your UEFA analysis? So it is the ridiculousness of the summation that they made them come up with this. Don't get me wrong. I will not argue if this was world best, because that's football around the world. Yeah. I will not argue if this was Ballon d'Or. That's football around the world. But UEFA award, how did you contort to bring Messi to the top of the list? You didn't think, oh, there were other guys in Europe that did great things. In fact, you should have just put 3 Manchester City players there. Let's know that they did well.
They played, you mentioned the UCL itself.
Yes, but if you count the best players in the UCL, how does he rank in the top? Last season. How?
Whoa.
He did not. They didn't. No, I'm saying how. They didn't see Lautaro Martinez. And if they wanted to count, Lautaro Martinez also won World Cup with Lionel Messi. So it's inconceivable if this is a UEFA award. I wouldn't question this, like I said, with other awards that are world covered.
Yes.
But UEFA awards are UEFA tournaments. How did Messi win this? Above other players.
He's not won yet.
No. How did
you're giving it away?
No, how did he get into top 3? That's already winning for me. Whoa. That's winning for me. For him to get into top 3, that's already winning for me. I think at the end of the day, they might give it to Kevin De Bruyne, so that there'll be peace and tranquility in the land. But he shouldn't have even been in the top 3. That's my take. What's your take? Send us your message to
0809444091, and then we go quickly.
And the discussion is simply, should Messi have been in UEFA top 3?
That takes us to Serena Wigman. FA says any approaches would be 100% rejected.
All right. So this was after England qualified for the the
Fine.
finals
The
of the
finals.
women's World Cup, and such a fantastic display. But even in that match, the most fantastic goal did not make it through, because here we were 1 minute,
Samter.
Australia with the crowd, with the football, brilliant football that they're trying to play, and then England, and England doing the basic things, and that's what I always tell people: just do the simple things and go. Don't put fluff on it. No need for all the frills. Sometimes keeping it simple is what works. If you saw the way England's goal came in, one error here, they capitalized. One opening there, they took advantage of it. Meanwhile, Australia was the one contorting and having some beautiful fast
Played
breaks.
beautifully,
And then
but
Samantha Kerr, I mean, I kid you not, when she scored that goal, goosebumps. It was the way I shouted downstairs. You would think I was Australian. Everybody was doing something, then they heard a loud noise, and everybody gathered around in front of the TV. It was a fantastic goal, but again, England did the job they needed to do. They are in the final, and immediately they got into the final, a lot of people started saying, "Hey, well, England hadn't won a major trophy, and then Serena Wigman won it for them, the Euros for them last year, and now she's in the final of the World Cup. That maybe they should fire Southgate and put her in a big mandate." So there's all of that. And then a lot of people are now talking about, being the best coach, and maybe other teams coming to approach her. And that's why the English are saying, if they come to approach her,
don't come
those,
close.
they will do you like Saudi.
We're in Saudi, no, to even make it bad this time, Saudi would just probably detach the leaf
No,
of the check and say, write what you want
somebody
on it.
exactly. Somebody will just say, what do you want?
Write
What would
what you
it
want.
take? You can't. Can you hold her? She's not even a national of England. You want
Yeah.
to What do you want to do? You want to give her citizenship, or you want to take her to Buckingham Palace? What do you want to do? Charlie already has a wife. Nothing you can do.
So at the end of the day, it becomes the lionesses may be singing this time around. It's coming home, or
And it will come
it's
home. You
going
know how
home.
my gender is to do it. My gender makes it happen. That's all I'm going to say. All right, let's take the very last story before we go into.
TV presenter Rachel Riley says she will stop supporting Manchester United if Forward stays. That's television. Rachel Riley. Walk us
Okay,
through this.
she was saying if Mason Greenwood stays at Manchester United, because Manchester United came out to give this report and they have not come up with any decision. But even in that, their statement of we've not come up with any decision,
Yes.
they've spoken about how they're very concerned and they've been in touch and they've investigated, they've read the police report, they've looked at the victim. They're also keeping in mind that Mason Greenwood is their employee and he's a young man and this and that. So the way the stance they were taking was United Nations stance.
Yes.
And they were not here, neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Now, here is what I would say about this Manchester issue. The first thing is, every day of the week and twice on Sunday, domestic violence is a huge issue. And most in general, certain people, especially people with money, tend to get away with these things. Now, that's on the one hand. On the other hand, I would say this for Mason Greenwood, for Manchester United. I do not think that they should get him into the fold immediately. Even for his sake, before people start flying mass, even for his sake, he will not be able to perform under all that. I think what they need to do is send him out on a loan.
Okay.
Start it from there. Because truth be told, if you ask me, Tega Onojiafe, I don't think anybody that hits a woman should be allowed to play professional football, because you're sending the wrong message community-wise. However, there's been forgiveness on the victim's part, um, and there's been work done on the player. So I would say this: Manchester United, if they have anything to do with, community development, community building, if they have to be sensitive to what's happening in the environment, do not bring him in.
Noted. We'll go for the messages quickly. Emeka Onelum says from Amuwo, I'm so happy for Tobi Amusan. I have hope she'll learn greatly from this incident, because there are many people out there that are waiting for a downfall as regards the US female team. It is a coincidence that just when they started getting equal pay with the male team, they became equally as poor. That's the way Megan Rapinoe carried the matter for head. She was the one that even missed the crucial penalty. Next.
Next story. This one is from Ifedayo from Isolo. It says, "Good morning, Tega. Thank God for Toby. This simply shows that Nigerians are indeed prayer warriors. Agubia David Ridwan says,
Manchester City will struggle with this season not because De Bruyne is injured, but not replacing unsung hero Gondwan. Unfortunately, my team, Man United, can't challenge them for the PL title. Arsenal should win it.
so
Next,
you now give it to the biggest butlers. Chukudi
Chukudi.
says,
I love Messi and I believe he's the greatest player ever, but Messi not in the UEFA Champions League team of the season, but gets nominated for the Player of the Year. Make it
makes sense.
sense.
Thank you. That's my point. LK Aderuba say on YouTube says Manchester City should stop with the cries. I beg. All top clubs went through this. I recall Chelsea playing 3 matches within a week and 2 matches involved Liverpool and Barcelona. And then he says, let's remember that the Falcons dragged this England to penalties. They were that good. Toughest team England played against. And on that note, we wrap up on the locker room. We will see you on Monday. Better pray that your club is not fodder for banter. Till then, Omas.
Thank you so much. My name is Omatseye.